What if you were paying a tax every single day that no one ever talks about? Not on your paycheck, not at the register, but a quiet force steadily eroding your wealth. But as more notes flooded the market, their value collapsed. Bread riots spread through Paris. Families saw their savings vanish as inflation suddenly stole value. The government hadn't raised explicit taxes. Instead, it inflated the money supply, making every family's wealth worth less, a hidden tax nobody voted for. Then, in post-World War I Germany, history's most infamous inflation unfolded. The Reichsbank printed money relentlessly to pay debts imposed by reparations. By 1923, workers were paid twice daily because wages lost value so rapidly. Housewives hurried to spend money before prices doubled that very evening. Children played with stacks of worthless banknotes. Essential goods cost billions in marks. Lifetimes of savings were wiped away, turning hidden tax into open confiscation. This catastrophe taught governments a somber lesson. Inflation was not just dangerous. It was powerful and convenient, a political weapon to manage debt. Instead of raising taxes openly, governments chose to print money, paying back debts with less valuable currency. Creditors and savers suffer, but the state survives. For ordinary people, the harm is diffuse and confusing. No inflation bill arrives in the mail, but your rent rises, groceries cost more, and your salary buys less. This led to the next lesson. Inflation works silently, quietly taxing citizens without their consent or clear understanding, a stealthy shift of value. But governments rarely admit this truth openly. They prefer inflation's subtlety, allowing costs to be spread thin, a tax without a name or explicit vote. This hidden tax is inflation. It's the slow, steady thief of your savings, an ancient tool governments have relied on for thousands of years. Moving to modern times, inflation remains a chosen tool. Governments borrow, spend, and print money, repaying debts with currency that's worth less than when borrowed. This hidden tax shifts wealth away from savers toward borrowers, governments, and those holding assets like real estate or stocks, who often see gains despite rising prices. Consider your own bank account. If your savings earn 1% interest, but inflation runs at 5%, you're effectively losing 4% in purchasing power every year. That lost wealth doesn't disappear. It's a transfer. Borrowers pay back debts with cheaper dollars. Governments can fund deficits more easily. Meanwhile, asset owners often benefit. Real estate values rise, stock prices climb, and commodities gain as the currency backing them weakens. The 1970s exposed this clearly. Inflation surged into double digits in many countries, melting savings and pushing mortgage rates sky high. Workers demanded wage increases just to keep pace. The hidden tax was painfully visible. Eventually, harsh interest rate hikes crushed inflation, but at great social cost. Governments love inflation's stealth. It funds itself without yelling. But when it grows too big, people notice. That is why official statistics often downplay true inflation. Ask yourself, when your grocery bill doubles over 10 years, but official inflation is only 2% annually, who really benefits from these reports? The 2008 financial crisis revealed inflation's new face. Massive government bailouts were funded by printing trillions, rescuing banks but punishing ordinary savers. It doesn't show on payslips, no official receipts. Yet, inflation shrinks what your money can buy, quietly transferring value away from ordinary people. Assets like stocks and real estate soared while wages stagnated. Inflation showed up not immediately in prices but in growing wealth gaps, an evolving hidden tax. Then came the pandemic in 2020. Governments flooded economies with digital money. For a moment, stimulus checks felt like free gifts, but inflation soon reemerged fiercely. By 2022, energy bills doubled, food prices surged, and housing costs spiked. Again, those with assets gained, while the middle and lower classes bore the hidden tax's burden. Who pays this tax? Savers lose as their money's value shrinks quietly, while borrowers benefit as debts shrink in real terms, along with governments managing deficits more easily. Asset holders, those owning property, stocks, or commodities, also gain, as their wealth typically grows with inflation, widening economic disparities in the process. Consider families in countries like Argentina, where decades of overspending turned inflation into a daily reality. People race to spend money before it loses value, living in constant financial stress. In Zimbabwe during the 2000s, hyperinflation reached staggering heights. Banknotes worth trillions couldn't buy basic goods. The economy reverted to barter. Savings evaporated overnight. Lebanon's recent currency collapse crushed the middle class. Banks froze withdrawals while life savings lost 90% of their value within months, a harsh display of inflation's hidden toll. Despite these human costs, official narratives often portray inflation at modest levels as a healthy sign of economic growth and stability. But what they don't say is the slow erosion of your savings. Even good inflation, like the often cited 2%, quietly chips away your financial security. It's a hidden tax, just at a slower pace than hyperinflation. But this isn't a mere accident or economic byproduct. Inflation is a deliberate policy, a hidden tax chosen by governments to fund expenses without raising overt taxes. So how do you protect yourself against this silent erosion? History offers valuable clues. From ancient to modern times, some assets withstand inflation better than others. In ancient Rome, those who hoarded real silver and gold survived the debasement of coins. Real assets held true value while paper lost trust. During Germany's hyperinflation, owning foreign currency or land shielded families. Physical assets often withstand the worst shocks better than fiat currency. In the 1970s, hard assets like real estate and commodities preserved wealth as cash lost purchasing power rapidly in economies suffering high inflation. Even recently in Lebanon, those who kept assets abroad or held strong foreign currencies survived the crisis, while many lost everything locked in local banks. The pattern repeats. Inflation punishes passivity and trust in cash. It rewards preparation and diversified asset ownership. Governments use inflation because openly raising taxes is politically difficult. It's easier to let the quiet tax do the work unchallenged. Officials will say inflation is temporary or under control. They will redefine measurements to appear favorable. But the effects on your savings remain real and lasting. Terms like quantitative easing and modern monetary theory sound technical, yet mask a personal cost, the erosion of your financial security. Recognizing inflation for what it is, a tax, empowers you to make informed decisions about protecting your wealth for the future. To truly understand this quiet thief, we must journey through history, to ancient times when coinage first began to lose its silver and trust collapsed. So next time you see prices rising and politicians shrug, remember, this isn't random or accidental. It's a policy, and it's your money that pays the price. Inflation has been the most effective and unfair tax in human history, cloaked in silence and complexity to avoid public backlash. Understanding this hidden tax is your first step to safeguarding your financial future. History's lessons are written clearly for those who look. Are you prepared to protect your savings from this quiet thief? The choice and responsibility belongs to you. In the Roman Empire, soldiers were paid with silver coins called denarii, trusted across vast lands. But war drained coffers, prompting emperors to reduce silver content without changing the coin's face. At first, people didn't notice the coins getting lighter, thinner, more copper than silver. But prices began to rise, and trust slowly eroded, a hidden tax taking shape. As the empire's money lost value, barter and gold re-emerged as trusted mediums. This quiet erosion contributed to the empire's decline, but the tactic endured through centuries. Fast forward to revolutionary France in the 1790s. The government, desperate for funds, created paper money backed by confiscated church lands. It seemed revolutionary at first.